Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, this is what I would choose now, part 2. I did the video talking about canteens because several people had asked me about getting gear. A lot of people that follow my channel are kind of new to woodscraft and bushcraft, and they're looking for some beginning advice. So you old salts have got a lot of experience. You know, some of these videos I'm going to do seem a little redundant to you. Well, you've got the experience. But a lot of people that are new, they're being recommended to me because I'm very good at explaining things and bringing out details. And so for the first time bushcrafter, woodscrafter, and etc., them coming in and talking and seeing my videos is a way for them to get an idea how to get started. Okay? And I have a lot of followers that are that way, that are brand new and don't really know a whole lot about it, and they're learning. Okay, so back to what we're talking about. Gear here is it was my recommendation for a buy it canteen. Like I said, if money is tight, go with the U.S. Army set. If you can afford better, invest in the Pathfinder set because it's a much higher quality set and it's going to last you in the long run. But having said that, I had quite a few people that had seen my videos in the not too distant past and saw other types of canteens that I had used and asked me to include some information about that. So in this part we're going to talk a little bit more about other surplus canteens that are floating around that you can probably find still available. Okay, now remember the canvas cover that I put over the Pathfinder set with the double snaps? It actually goes to this. This is a French canteen set. Now, they do not come black, guys. This is just aluminum. Okay, I spray painted it with black barbecue grill paint. I find that's a very good durable paint, holds up well to the heat and etc. And I like to paint my gear like it. A, it's not as shiny. B, the soot wipes off of it easier than it does off of the bare metal. And so it's easier to clean, easier to maintain, and in my opinion, and there are going to be people that disagree, painting it black absorbs heat more evenly, you know, for actual cooking or use. So that's one of the reasons I do it. Okay, but it comes with this cup, this big riveted in place, just a lightweight aluminum cup, and then it's, I believe it's extruded aluminum because it's one seamless piece. And when you see these ripples up here in the neck, it means extruded. That's a fancy word for saying we put a hockey puck in there and put enough, you know, by God and by pressure, we will make it flow like it's liquid and create this shape. And so you end up with a canteen. Now the canteen has a loop and a small chain and then the lid. Mine leaked. Okay, so that's something you want to be aware of, that might happen. And it just has a like a foam seal in it, or silicone type seal. The edge up here is not perfectly smooth, and that's the reason mine leaks. If I really wanted to invest the time, I would sand this down till it was flat, smooth, and make a better seal for that seal, or even go take me a piece of silicone and put in there and make me a seal to seal it up. I could do that. Now if you have one of these canteens, you want to do that, you'll look around your baking aisle and stuff like that. They have these silicone hot hands and pads, the things to lay down and sit on your kitchen counter, and those are good at several hundred degrees. It seems to be a soft, flexible rubber. It's actually silicone. That's what I would get and cut out and then put into the lid of one of these, because it'd be very durable, would hold up, could be easily replaced. One of those pads, just a couple of bucks, and that's enough. I could just trace out and make like a dozen seals out of it. So if it ever wore out, I could replace it. So that's what I would do with this. The aluminum canteen is, the French canteen is not a bad idea, being all metal with the lid off of it. And I would change and make that connection right there, some sort of little snap or something I could just take off. I could then put this canteen into a fire. It's got a fairly wide mouth on it and could do some of the things that the Pathfinder canteen does. Pathfinder is much higher quality, being in the stainless, but this would be a substitute. So if you were looking for a higher capacity type, cheaper, look for a surplus French canteen, and maybe that would suit your needs. Another canteen little set is good for a haversack, and this is actually a flask. And that's one of these Swedish flasks. And this one has the cork seal to it. And it's got a lined aluminum. And then there's this little connection right here that you pull off. And there's the actual canteen with its little bitty cup. Now, I got mosquitoes just eating me up out here, guys. We've had just tons of rain here in the south, and they have hatched by the billions. So they're just everywhere. Normally they don't bother me. They bother me now. Back to these little bitty canteens are a perfect size to slide into a haversack. Now you can also get other little flasks and things of roughly this size, and capacity of this I figure is about a half a quart. You know, excuse me. It's enough for a couple of drinks, enough to get you from A to B, just to have something to carry with you. And with the metal cup, you can also boil water to fill it back up if you needed to. The capacity, maybe in your environment, would be adequate for what you're doing for a hike. Now, I consider this like a hike, a short hike. Like I'm going to do a 5 or 6 mile little hike, and I've got a water source in there that I can stop and recharge, and it's not terribly hot. Yeah, this would be viable. If it's going to be a real hike, like 10 miles or something, I'm going to be carrying a bigger canteen. Less stopping. But that's something you may want to consider. So these are available, and there's also a plastic version. It's still got a metal cup, but then it's a plastic version with a screw top. That is even more viable in a way. If you want something I can just slide down into the haversack and have something to pull out and utilize, this may be a way to go. Okay. Now, another one of them European ones. And you can still buy these. Walmart today still sells these in complete sets. Now this has got a canvas cover with the wool type liner. And this is a Type 58 British water bottle. Okay. It cannot take the boiling water. Okay, we know that. But this one was made in 2001 by Osprey, and I've used this quite a few times as the extra canteen that I carry. They're good, rugged plastic with a nice large mouth on it, a good seal on it, easy to fill. Now, let me answer this question right quick that I've had several people ask about the wide mouth. Why would a lot of these canteens have wide mouth? Most of the time it's in countries that have a lot of snow, and so it's a way for their soldiers to replenish their canteens with snow. Pack the snow in there, heat it up and dissolve it. Especially the metal type canteen like the French or like the Pathfinder would work. You could simply pack the canteen solid full of snow and then sit it into by the fire and actually melt snow and fill it up. Because that's a common thing up in that part of the world, is it being that cold and having a fire and having tons of snow laying everywhere. That's a great way to refill it without having to worry about that. The British canteen, yes, you'd pack it full of snow, but you can't put it in a fire. But there'd be ways to warm it up, okay? For example, like in a vehicle or something like that, you could refill your canteen and set it back in the vehicle with you, or in the tank or whatever, and warm it back up, or putting it next to your body. Eventually it would melt it. But, that's a long shot. The British set comes with a plastic cup that's like the eating bowl. And this one goes on top. And then down inside the canteen cover, you've also got a metal cup. And this is sometimes called a Crusader cup, which I like the Crusader cup. It's a much bigger than U.S. canteen type bottom. Now this one's dirty, but it's got markings on it for how many liters and etc. And it's a super durable heavy cup, and this makes a really good eating cup. It sits on the bottom, and then the plastic bowl goes on the top. So you got a eating and drinking set out of it. These make good canteens as well. Now this is light because it's plastic, and then this is fairly rugged and durable. Would be a good cooking canteen cup. And honestly, when looking around and it's got the wire butterfly handle. When looking around on the net, you will find the plastic cup and you'll find the bottle, but find in the metal Crusader cup. These are in big demand over in on the cover that I've got with it has got the wool lining. I think I said that already. They are big time on this type Canteen cup because it is such a good cooking cup. It's something that you can easily cook meals in. And so for that reason, you know, they're all the time hard to come by. But here in America, I've recently looked up and found, I think Walmart carried it, where it's a complete set. And that set's going to include the cup, the canteen, the metal cup, and then a modern nylon snap-over carrier, and it may have even a lid in it. I'm not sure. The British Type 58 is a very viable canteen set. So the British Type 58 is a very viable canteen, and I've carried it many times as my other canteen. It's just an extra water carrier. Okay. With the Grail, that works well as well because I can have a larger capacity to fill up. Okay. So those are available on surplus as well as brand new as in sets, and they would work well as a usable system. Okay. Now this other canteen, this will be the last one we're going to talk about, that several people asked about. I want to just give them a 2 cents worth. It doesn't follow the same line as what we've been talking. These were belt canteens that had a cooking set included. That's this one. This is a U.S. Army, got rain coming, U.S. Army 2-liter. Okay. Several uses for this. Now, what we were just talking about earlier about the Grail and utilizing another canteen as a water carrier, that's what this would be really good for. By using the Grail as my water filter, taking my multi-bag and filtering the water before it goes in that Grail to keep my filter from plugging up. And then I could turn around and fill up one of these and have a lot of water for a hike. This one has got D-rings where you carry a carry strap on it and carry it over your shoulder. You've got 2 liters of water right there, plus having what was in the Grail. That should get me through a nice long hike, like 10 or so miles on a hot day, and be easily filled back up when I got there. These also make a pillow. Okay, I've used that many times in the past where I've carried my water in it, and then when I got to camp, I've used this for a pillow because when it's blowed up, it's a full-size pillow. So you know, put your head on. So I've used one of these for a pillow before. I've used it as a hot water bottle before. No, you cannot put boiling hot water into one, but I can put like coffee warm water into it and held it to my chest on a cold night and things like that. So that is an advantage, but this is strictly, although it's called a canteen, a 2-quart canteen. It's double the capacity of the U.S. Army. It's in actuality nothing more than just a water carrier, and it doesn't have the ability to be a cook set or whatever. It's a good addition, and just by itself or something like it. Now, let's talk about that for just a split second. In the modern backpacking, there are modern equivalents to this that are already made up, that are clear plastic or whatever, that's got a little clip on them, whatever, that you can put and carry in your pack as an additional water carrier, and that's a good idea. Now notice the old military one still has that fleecy line, remember, for cooling and all, like I talked about in the pot cozy. That's what this is good at. And like I said, I've used this many times as a extra canteen on hot days of filling this up and just slinging this over here on my side or putting it in the pack as my water carrier, so that is my, back in those days I was boiling water or I was using tabs. And so therefore, once my belt canteen ran out, if I didn't have a handy water source, I'd bring this out. I would refill my belt canteen and then put this back. By keeping it buried down in my pack, it was kind of insulated to keep it out of the heat as much as possible, because hot water just does not quench your thirst. So I wanted water that was as cool as possible. And then, like I said, being able to soak this material down. I had someone comment in the comments of the last video talking about how it would get your clothes wet and etc. if you soak it. That's absolutely true. And one of the factors down here where I'm at is If it's hot enough that I'm having to soak this in order to try to cool it, I'm already wringing with sweat. I have, had my canteen hanging on my side, and my canteen cover gets sopping wet from sweat from me. Where it's just really high humidity, really high temperatures, and if you stand there, you form a puddle, of sweats dripping off your nose and just running down rivers down your back and down your legs. Your clothes become absolutely sopping wet. And so a lot of times in those conditions, I will take my big mesh net or a shamag and soak it in the water when I'm getting them thing, and I'll wring it a little bit and put it around my neck and just let it drip to help cool me. I'll take my hat and dunk it in the water and get it wet and put it back on my head so it cools me. So dunking the canteen to get it to try to cool is one of those extremes when you're already sopping wet due to the heat. It's one of them moot points. I'm already wet. It don't matter. And if it's not that hot where I'm not wringing with sweat, then I don't need to cool the canteen. You see what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where it's one of those, the situation of the moment. So, to tie up both of these videos together, there are many surplus canteens available. If you have, you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to just get started, a U.S. Army canteen with set would be very viable. If you're one of those in Europe, my followers in Europe, then the Type 58 with the Crusader Cup would be a good option, or the French set. Those are available, or have been available in recent. When I looked before this video, I could find them on eBay and stuff like that, so they are available. The 2 liters and etc. are available where I need more capacity, and that's usually in hiking where in other parts of the country where water sources are pretty far apart. Here where I live, you're tripping over water. I doubt you're going to have to look for some place that you can walk more than a mile or two and not have to cross water. My part of Alabama has been called the Amazon of America, because if you look at a map of all the creeks and streams and rivers, it's just a spider web of water sources flowing in, going to the Gulf. So we have much more running surface water than many states. So where you're at, it may be a necessity to carry a higher capacity canteen on your hikes, your trips, etc. In which case, one of these 2-liter militaries is really good for all the features I've talked about, as well as the more modern sets. The Pathfinder set is the most expensive of all of these that we're talking about, but would be very durable, long-lasting. And if you want to buy once and cry once and be done with it, it would be a good set. It's probably going to last you the rest of your life plus, If you'll go look at videos of guys going through the Pathfinder school and they're putting them in fires or doing whatever, when they're making char cloth in the cups for them and etc. Inside the canteen. I mean, they put these things through what really to me is kind of abusive of a water carrier. And so, yeah, that's kind of that durability. That might be worth it. So like I said, as my original said, if money's tight, go with the U.S. Army set if you're in the Americas, possibly the British or the French if you're in Europe. If you're wanting something small, then one of those Swedish little sets to go into the haversack for those little day scouts and stuff like that works fine. And some sort of large container for when you really need large capacity. Hope this gives you some ideas, guys. Please do me a favor and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And thank you very much for your support of my channel. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.